It is exactly 10 p.m. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV Inspiring Uganda. Welcome to UBC News Tonight with me, Sharon, Kyomugisha, Signologist and Mugalu Mohammed on sign language. We'll take a look at our headlines for today. In UBC News Tonight, Requiem police constables demonstrate over allowances. Still to come, Bishop Kaggwa was a gift to this country, government says. In more stories, Toroko flood victims might settle in Semliki. Protesters storm Kagadi Electoral Commission. You are watching UBC News Tonight. In our top stories of the day, the Minister for Presidency, Mbale, has attributed NRM's decimal performance in the central region to sectarianism perpetuated by cultural leaders. This was at a press conference in preparation for Liberation Day slated for early next week.
Concluded presidential and parliamentary polls lightly. While speaking to the media at President's office, Mbale asked Ugandans to reflect on the long journey of political and economic stability they have tracked with the ruling party NRM for the last 35 years of its reign in power.
There is too much danger to our freedom if we don't come together to forge a new nation and secure it firmly. Look back upon the dark ages and conduct the evaluation of our collective effort in the journey towards economic takeoff and self-preservation against all forms of sabotage.
Mbale appealed to the religious and cultural leaders to preach the gospel of unity, peace and truth-telling, other than leading the people to the wrong path.
We are failing to do what we are supposed to do. Everybody should concentrate on what is supposed to do. Let us not mix church and politics. That men go hand a hand and then the Catholic religion had a hand in that. Let it unite people, not basing on faith, not basing on religion. We are all Ugandans. We want to go back to the Kabaka Yeka, Manyaga, this one belongs to this group, this one belongs to... We want a Uganda which is united. Kampala is not for Uganda. Kampala is the capital city of Uganda. And we should separate Uganda from Uganda.
Unlike before, the ruling party NRM used to dominate electoral performance in Busoga region and Buganda at a win-win basis. However, this time round the performance was not the usual, and Mbale attributed the poor party performance in the recent presidential and parliamentary polls in the two respective regions of Busoga and Buganda to cultural and religious leaders, whom she says have promoted sectarianism to separate the country.
Mbale was involved. The Catholic Church was involved. They were telling people to vote the coffee which has matured, the red coffee. The politics of tribalism, the politics of sectarianism, the politics of religion, that is where we are going. The Catholic Church has come up to decampaign the government. We used to have a few churches, but sinners were few. Now we have so many churches, sinners are so many. What went wrong?
Whereas Uganda's protracted war against poverty is steadily gaining momentum, amid its challenges of corruption and limited resource envelope, Mbale holds the view that Ugandans shouldn't fall short of utilizing the available opportunities initiated by government to flip over the biting poverty.
The interventions are now looking and aiming at those ones who cannot get government jobs. But you know, everybody wants to get government job, white-collar job. White-collar jobs are not enough. So the interventions that we are doing is, for example, the youth. The government has really done enough.
While responding to Kyagulanyi's continue under house arrest, Mbale said unless Kyagulanyi retracts his earlier statements of inciting violence, chances of him being a free man are slim.
He was told to denounce the acts of violence before. Otherwise, as government, we don't have any other problem. We don't have any limitation against the owner of Kyagulanyi. Owner of Kyagulanyi is our own. So as government, we are protecting him.
Minister Mbale has assured Ugandans that the ruling party NRM shall harmonize every willing Ugandan to achieve the same goal of peace. Shaidat in Nasaku, UBC.
In more stories, over 60 special police constables have staged a peaceful demonstration at the Hoima city demanding for their unpaid allowances. They stormed the commission office last evening demanding for their allowances for guarding elections. Each constable was supposed to be given a daily allowance of 40,000 Ugandan shillings. Details follow and not transpired.
Over 60 special police constables from Hoima district and the oil city have staged a peaceful demonstration at the city's electoral commission office in Kijungu Cell East Division, demanding for their unpaid allowances for the presidential and local council elections. The constables first stormed Hoima Central Police Station with the intention of meeting the district police commander Michael Ongika and the OC operations Charles Mbale in vain.
Ohika habalingi sasa kumi nemu no sibaho no rugaho saha inaze ekiro nibatuleka yintu batisebe gere tufunire biscuit yesiringi bitano amakaba fira wabintu bikana tusasura outcomes akakereraho ariko mvaro kumva kana ko bakacagura ni baketaga ura tukerera hanu tuyambe badubajya 20%
Mildred Katsabe and Wilbur Tumwesije, some of the protesters say the agreement signed with the commission entitles 40,000 shillings allowance to each constable per polling day.
Tukatandika tukakora training batu iba batu eneze mitware sa tukafune mitware nene o tugenzere komesa bakatugana mitware nene abahero mitware satu tibazituhere iza tukere tugenzere tukozere ijweri twatwena appointment letter kama sasa bagiye kuziba twene kwatu wairati bakatukamanya tukaruka tufule sana zaidi.
Michael Ongika, Hoima DPC, has confirmed on phone that it is true the SPCs are demanding their allowances but promised to pay them soon.
Now, and we are not yet picking money from electoral commission. So I've sent their operations. Those ones who have come from far, pay them now because the transport is not there. Then those ones who are from near, I told them all of them to come tomorrow. Because paying that money, we need to give someone who is specific to pay them. People eat people's money. Okay. To send the money from Douglas, and then they are paid. Then the rest will be paid tomorrow.
The SPCs were trained by police for 3 months and were promised a monthly pay of 300,000 shillings allowance.
In more news, a loser in the Kagadi parliamentary. In more stories, a loser in the Kagadi parliamentary polls, Naziwa Margaret Rujumba has stormed the Electoral Commission offices, demanding for a count of her votes. The January 14th elections were won by Jennifer Chomhendo Mbale and consequently declared the woman member of parliament, Kagadi district.
Kagadi police has been engaged in running battles with supporters of an independent candidate, Naziwa Margaret Rujumba, who lost in the recent parliamentary elections. Rujumba and her supporters took the law into their hands by storming the offices of Electoral Commission, seeking for answers regarding her election loss. The demonstrators, who included border cyclists, traversed streets of Kagadi and Mohoro town with placards before storming the office of the Electoral Commission Kagadi. They are demanding a recount of votes using biometric voter verification machine. Robert Twikirize declared Jennifer Kyomugisha Mbabazi the validly elected woman member of parliament Kagadi after winning both primaries and general elections. Kyomugisha was declared Kagadi woman member of parliament after she garnered 65,791 votes, representing 60%, trouncing her closest rival, Naziwa Margaret, who scored 43,546 votes, representing 40%. Three contenders were aspiring for Kagadi woman parliamentary race, who included incumbent Jennifer Kyomugisha, Naziwa Margaret, and Proskovia Nyakaisiki, who scored 1,376 votes. The Kagadi district police commander, Stephen Kama, was forced to deploy security with tear gas to disperse the demonstrators. Kama advised those not satisfied with the results to appeal to court.
The one who wins and the one who loses. Now, if you lose and you are not contented with the results, you have to go to court. You file your case to court, not demonstrating. So for the case of those people who demonstrated, we also applied some reasonable force. We advised them, we engaged with them and told them, let them go back.
Kagadi resident district commissioner Lilian Ruteraho said it was wrong for the protesters to storm electoral commission offices.
And we proceed and wait for 2026. I, for one, I have ever won an election and lose, and I am here. So they should keep calm, keep peace, and plan for 2026. It is very near. They just feel free and keep calm. 2026 is near. And
in more news, the late Bishop of Masaka Diocese Emeritus John Baptist Kaggwa has been described as a man of great humility and selfless commitment. This was during Requiem Mass for the fallen Bishop at Rubaga Cathedral, led by the Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese, His Grace Dr. Spiran Chizitolwanga. Yiga and Lugema have a detailed report on the sad news.
Mourners this Friday converged at Rubaga Cathedral in Kampala. Pray for the repose of the soul of the late Bishop Emeritus John Baptist Kaggwa, former of Masaka Catholic Diocese. He succumbed to COVID-19 at Mulago Hospital on Wednesday at the age of 78. The Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese, His Grace Dr. Spiran Chizitolwanga, led the Requiem Mass, assisted by Bishops Christopher Kakozo of Rugazi Diocese and Bishop Emeritus Matthias Sekamanya. Archbishop Dr. Spiran Chizitolwanga said the fallen bishop performed all the duties of a true bishop until he breathed his last.
The bishop is the father and also the brother of the poor. When it is necessary, he should not hesitate to raise his voice for those who have no voice, for the voiceless. No. We are just a voice of the voiceless. Bishop Kaggwa did this very often. He has been a voice for the voiceless, for which we thank you.
Wanga urged political leaders to emulate the tolerance of the late Bishop Kaggwa, who forgave those that wronged him, including those that tear-gassed him in Mityana last year as he performed prayers for the Mbogo clan. The Chancellor Masaka Diocese Reverend Father Edward Sekabanja commended the deceased man of God for developing their diocese spiritually and economically in his 25 years of service as bishop in Dafta.
Twebaza Katonda olw'ekirabo eky'obusumba kyeyamuwa ate kyatusumbyeemu emyaka 25 beddu ng'akulembera essaza eri Masaka. Bishop Kaggwa obadde muzadde obadde Sseruganda.
On behalf of the family, Dr. Majeda thanked God for the life of Bishop Kaggwa, who was a uniting figure.
Ayagala nnyo okubeera obumu nga tayaniriza ngambo. Ayagala nnyo amazima obwenkanya n'eddembe.
More condolence messages from Buganda and central government held Bishop Kaggwa's humility in serving humanity.
Abalimba Bishop Kaggwa abadde musajja mwogezi w'amazima ng'amazima agogeranga bwagalaba olaba naffe ng'atugambako ate nga tumuwulira. Nze mu ministry mu department eyange y'ebyenjigiriza Bishop Kaggwa has been an asset. Era ebiwandiiko byatuwadde n'amagezi g'atuwadde baseewo tunaagateeka gonna mu nkola ebyenjigiriza mu Uganda bijja kukyuka nnyo.
Born on 23rd March 1943, John Baptist Kaggwa, who was Bishop Emeritus of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Masaka, where he served as the ordinary from 10th January 1998 until his retirement on 16th April 2019. Bishop John Baptist Kaggwa was the principal consecrator of his successor Bishop Severus Jumba on 6th July 2019. Bishop Kaggwa will Saturday be laid to rest at Bukalasa Seminary Cemetery in Masaka Diocese, Kalungu District. Bernard Higa, UBC News.
Thank you so much, Banajiga. May the Lord strengthen all those that lost a bishop. Elders have come to the Islamic University Kaboja branch grounds to vote their female representative to Parliament. Our reporters were there and filed the following report.
Hundreds of elders have converged at the Islamic University in Uganda playground Kaboja Wakiso to vote for the elderly female parliamentary representative. 5 elders from each district form the Electoral College on behalf of their respective councils. The elderly are optimistic that issues affecting them will be addressed by those they will send to Parliament.
They have taken the surge to be only 80 years. But you want it to be reduced at least to 60. Then also to increase the amount from 25 to 50,000 per month.
So our coming from Agago district being the far north, it was actually troublesome because we came here physically to see to it that our voice should be represented in the Parliament of Uganda.
These structures, these five people who were being elected, they have been just dormant. So we want the MP in the Parliament to go and also represent us to take our voice. That these structures should also be made active. They should also work for Uganda.
The fight was between Miriam Atembe, who is running as an independent, and Peggy Joy Wako of the NRM. By close of business, Peggy Joy Wako was declared winner to represent the elderly in Parliament. Ivan Kahwa and Sebira Andrew, UBC News.
Congratulations to Peggy Joy. In more stories, the mayor-elect Jinja City Kasolo Peter Okocha and his supporters have been released on police bond after they were arrested over defying curfew guidelines. Jinja police gave the politician fans bond with caution.
A National Unity Platform flag bearer has been announced the mayor Jinja City after winning 3 others. Kasolo Peter was declared the mayor Jinja City by Jinja Electoral Commission officer Jennifer Chibutungi. After his declaration, Kasolo was then arrested with 10 others at Mufubira Trading Center while heading to his home in Buwekula over flouting curfew guidelines.
Arrested last night as I was coming from the tele center. I met a group of my boys and girls who are coming also from the tele center where I had just been declared as the mayor Jinja City. So when I found a group of security operatives, I had to stop to go and intervene and find out why they have been arrested.
The mayor-elect criticized the arrest but asked his supporters calm. Kasolo and his partners were given police bond and cautioned against flouting curfew guidelines again.
The arrest, after it was in the wee hours of the night, was around 4. I accepted to come and sleep here at Mafuvira sub-county police post. So this morning we have been released on bond. Caning the group of boys and girls they had arrested. So when we joined the group, we were also caned. We are caned a bit. But,
the mayor-elect promised to improve Jinja City road networks.
Jinja City for voting overwhelmingly because the margin that I beat my opponent, it was big enough because I got 11,900 something votes. And my second contender was in 10,000, and the biggest person who wanted even to snatch my win, that is Kyomugisha Robert, he was in 9,000. So I beat him with around 2,700 votes. I'm going to work with my people. I'll always seek advice from the people. This is not going to be a one-man's game. It's going to be a game for all the people of Jinja because as you see, as you look at me, I'm a young man. But these people have given me this office. So I believe when I consult from them, it will be easier for me to work.
You're still watching UBC News Tonight. In more stories, the woman member parliament-elect Mbale City, Connie Nakayenze Galwango, has advised her political rival Lydia Wanyoto to concede defeat for the recently held elections. Now, Nakayenze, who expresses readiness to face Wanyoto in court, says the electoral process was transparent, free and fair. Harry Buto follows reports that Wanyoto is contemplating seeking court redress over what she says was an unfair process. Watch.
I've always delivered according to the expectations.
She had high hopes in the NRM party primaries.
I am confident I'm going to have a landslide win.
Until her opponent was declared winner.
My victory was just grabbed from me.
Disappointed and discontented,
God will judge us.
She opted to stand as an independent. It is a contest where she was almost disqualified over a petition questioning the variations in her essentials.
That indicated I did not have a deed poll. That was the deed poll, indicating that I'm Nakayenze Connie Galiwango. But when I was nominated, I presented everything to the returning officer. All my papers were cleared. And just because these people want to waste a lot of my time, for them they are looking for a vote and they want me to be in court all the time.
Determined and re-energized, Connie Nakayenze Galiwango won the recently held parliamentary elections for the Mbale City Woman MP seat.
I had enough. They wanted to cheat me in the talent center and God helped me out.
It is a victory that her opponent Lydia Wanyoto is not contented with and now contemplating challenging the victory before the courts of law.
Honorable should style up and accept defeat. She thought the way she had done to me in primaries, it was the same way she was going to do to me. I was much aware that I was dealing with a thief. I was much aware that I was dealing with somebody who is not upright, somebody without integrity. So if she says she's going to court, it's most welcome. Let's go and battle it out.
Consequently, Nakayenze has some advice for her opponent.
Because if at all everybody knows I won, genuinely, and then she says I cheated her, it's very unfortunate. Let her style her.
In the just concluded parliamentary elections, Kyomugisha was declared winner of the Mbale City Woman MP seat after garnering 40,702 votes against Lydia Wanyoto's 25,276. Henry Okurut, UBC.
Government is considering degazetting part of Semliki National Park to accommodate flood victims of 3 sub-counties in Toroko district. Now, State Minister for Disaster Preparedness, Muso Echero, underscores the need for permanent relocation of residents to avoid human fatalities. Speaking to UBC at his home in Amuria district, Echero said that the process is not yet conclusive, but formalities are underway.
For several years, they have lived on these plains in peace with nature and engaged in economic and recreation activities, including cattle keeping, fishing and swimming. But when they thought they had seen it all, hell broke out. Lake Albert burst its banks, overflowing to the plains of Ntoroko, displacing hundreds.
This thing started early last month. Like the water used to come and reach a certain level and it goes back like this. You know, when it comes and reaches behind you, you see how to control it. That's why you're seeing some sacks. You know, you have to load sacks with soil to make sure at least you sabotage water from entering the house.
Saa 7 ya usiku tunasutuka, maji imeingia nyumbani yote na watoto na viumbe yetu, banyama yetu yote yanaweza kuenda.
To the residents and victims of floods here, water is not life anymore, but a source of death. Over 1,000 residents of 3 sub-counties, including Kanara and Bweramule, were affected, and hardly anyone could hide their misery.
This side of Ntoroko North it's no longer a residence now, it's already a lake. So I think someone can't stay this side.
It is a challenge that has since drawn the attention of the authorities. The Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Musa Echweru, says because of such gravity of the problem, he initiated the process of degazetting part of Semliki National Park for relocation of these flood victims.
We know what it means for tourism to be a vibrant department in our country. We know what it means to the economy. But we also know the risks involved in keeping people in low-lying areas where the risk being swallowed by the lake. So it is a very delicate balance. We might have to sacrifice part of that park, Semliki, and relocate these 3 sub-counties.
The challenge of rising water levels on Lake Albert also stretched all the way to the Midwestern district of Bulisa.
I visited the place, the Prime Minister has visited the place. I think very strongly in our next term of office, we are going to make proposals. If, for example, His Excellency the President retains me in the docket, one of the proposals we are going to give very strongly is the relocation of those people to a permanently safer place.
How far the proposed degazetting of this park will go in addressing the challenge, only time will tell. Henry Okurut, UBC.
Police in Iganga is holding a 25-year-old man over defiling 4-year-old girl. Now, Moses Pasoga, a resident of Kazigo village in Chikulu North, is now under arrest, though undergoing treatment from wounds inflicted upon by his residents.
A man identified as Pasoga Moses, 25 years of age, in Iganga is nursing wounds at the district main hospital after being lynched by an angry mob for alleged defilement of a 4-year-old girl. He is suspected to have been found with a girl locked in his room by the victim's father. Busoga East Police spokesperson Moby James said he will be charged with defilement. James, however, called on the public to up their responsibility for especially the girl child.
Sovo ran away, but we had to mount a lot of pressure to have this suspect arrested. So good enough, he's now at custody at CPS Iganga, though it was very bad because you are 25, you're a person of a sound mind. Why would you go to a 4 years old child? So this is uncalled for, absolutely uncalled for.
Grace Kaziba, who is taking care of the victim, says the girl's private parts were shattered. She urged parents to protect their young girls during the coronavirus pandemic.
So yamuyoza nga yetaaga okumusala operation once eyo bamutunge buyaka. So twafuna omwana ono bamala okola report eyo omwana babanga agira under operation. So abaire nga mwidwaliro for like 4 days bali bakamusiibula, but we are going back for review okubona.
The suspect denied allegations of defilement, attributing his arrest to politics.
Uganda nabona waisu wa anka nabona nikola ki we nawo bambuza ati bino bitimba biki balimirira bayuza ebifaananyi nali ntayira ku kimante mudira ya Maria Musefu bayuza abantu wala ku bino ebisatu nali sigaiza yabiya abatema James bana babiyuza batandika okunkuba emiigo okubona.
Some stories are just very disturbing, but moving on from that, Kasese NRM sub-county chairpersons have received motorcycles to help improve their mobilization for the ruling NRM party. The RDC Kasese Lieutenant Joey Walusimbi urged all beneficiaries to put the motorcycles to their proper use. This was a pledge by President Yoweri Museveni to the people of Kasese in 2015. I'm so sorry that the video doesn't have sound, but as you had, that was President Museveni fulfilling his pledge that he made in 2015. In most stories, campaign posters have now become part of garbage as elections come to a close. Streets and residential areas alike are littered with posters and other election stuff that now demands for urgent cleaning. Earlier, blaring noise by political campaigns' megaphones was also a source of pollution in the country, but mainly in urban areas. We have a detailed report on what this looks like. Watch.
The noise by political players seeking electoral positions is now dying down, but campaign posters are still on display and are gradually becoming an eyesore.
Of the posters that have been pinned up everywhere. You will remember that the High Court stopped or halted the advertising fees that we were charging to people who were putting up posters, and it is such money that was largely helping us in cleaning the city after the election period. But now we don't have such money, and we shall need to use, or we shall have to use.
These posters are of varying colors and relate to candidates' parties. The posters are hanging almost everywhere, even though they are not serving any purpose, now with major elections almost winding up.
No, we're going to clean. Starting next week, we're going to start cleaning up and ensuring that we have a clean city. But we have the mandate. We have the mandate to ensure that the city is clean, and we are committed to doing that. And now that this phase is over, we certainly have to clean the streets, and clean them we shall with the limited resources that we have.
Kampala Capital City Authority is now engaging the business community to have a clean city that is peaceful, business-oriented, and one that Ugandans are proud of. Sandra Kahunde, UBC News.
Coming up is business news, but for now we'll take a short commercial break.
You may have heard of physical distancing. This means keeping at least 2 arms length apart from other people at all times to reduce the spread of coronavirus. But why is it so important? Without physical distancing, each person infected with coronavirus will infect 2 to 3 others. Each of these people go on to infect 2 to 3 more, who each go on to infect another 2 or 3 people, and so on. Within a month, the infection will spread from 1 to 406 people. But if each person halves the number of people they come into close contact with, the number of infections drops dramatically. Each person would only infect 1 or sometimes 2 people, and each of those infected people would only infect 1 or occasionally 2 more. So the disease spreads much more slowly. In a month, the infection would only spread from 1 to 15 people. That's the power of physical distancing. Keep at least 2 arms length distance from as many people as you can to reduce infections and save lives. That way you protect yourself, the people you love, and your country.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Tula musikanda sibalanga women situation room. Akalulu hao siho hukusa
okukulaakulanya balina otula n'okyerwanya lolo mundu n'akwoseho ebintu by'oddaha.
This message is brought to you by the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy in partnership with Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue, iPod.
Connect to the world for free on Ayoba. Chat with friends for free. Play games all day for free. Jam to Ziki for free. You can also send money through Ayoba. Absolutely no MBs needed. To download the app, visit www.mtn.co.ug/mymtn and select Ayoba.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
You're still watching UBC News Tonight with me, Sharon. Kyomugisha. In our business stories, youth unemployment in Uganda will soon be a thing of the past as more youth acquire skills through vocational training. This comes at a time when local government, in partnership with TASO and Uganda Development and Health Associates, are training youth for various vocational skills conducted at Lumino Community Polytechnic in Busia District.
The Acting Director, Directorate of Industrial Training at the Ministry of Education and Sports, says government is committed to ensuring that youth attain skills in an intervention against unemployment. He says government has invested heavily in skilling Uganda programs to transform the country. Patrick Byakatonda was officiating the graduation of the vulnerable girls at Lumio Community Polytechnic in Busia District. Byakatonda calls on the graduates to utilize the skills and knowledge acquired to develop themselves and the nation at large.
Training is very critical. So I urge your donors, government, please support this kind of training. And those who have finished training in modular or level, I mean what we call non-formal, some people call it non-formal, the 3 months, that is basic.
The Global Fund, TASO and Uganda Development and Health Associates supported the training of the vulnerable girls in tailoring, home economics and hairdressing. They also provided them with startup kits. The Executive Director, Uganda Development and Health Associates, Musulo Issa, says they support vulnerable girls and women in Busia District to acquire hands-on skills for self-employment.
For them to also acquire skills, be able to do their own businesses, but also to get employment. At the end of the day, those who have qualified are given a certificate from the Directorate of Industrial Training, which is recognized by the Ministry of Education, Support and Sports. And this is basically to help them to be able to have a national recognition and reputation as a country as a whole.
The lead instructor, Lumino Community Polytechnic, Okumo Alex, advised the youth to be ethical, trustworthy, and make the best use of the tools acquired.
In many of the places where this kind of training has taken place, girls end up selling their startup kits. I would advise them, let them value what they have been given, use it to generate more.
The beneficiaries believe this training will go a long way in preparing them to be productive and self-sustaining.
Nanda Frida. I train to teach in nursery, early childhood development. Skills. I have skills on my head. I can do catering. I can cook any food.
Over 5,000 vulnerable adolescent girls have benefited from the program since inception in 2018. Henry Muganga compiled this report.
Congratulations to all those that graduated. In more stories, President Yoweri Museveni, in his victory speech, directed all local governments to stop taxing daily and weekly roadside vendors selling nyama choma, gonja, beverages and other marketable products. However, local government in various districts have over the years pushed public markets to manage their own affairs, including tax collection. Watch.
Day to day, I don't know, month to month, even Mchoma alone, the ones who roast meat on the roadside, the ones who roast gonja.
57 kilometers away from Kampala towards eastern Uganda into Mabira Forest,
We visit Najembe Market, where for more than 3 decades, it has grown to host hawkers selling nyama choma, snacks, food and beverages to road travelers. We sought to find out whether paying annual trading licenses to the local government, as suggested by the president, was a preferred option compared to the daily, weekly or monthly taxes.
We
would have been more profitable, but our hawkers earn little. We even don't have a parking. Truly, for the number of hawkers we have here, earning only 4,000 shillings a day, how much should they pay as tax?
Our hawkers of this market pay a monthly tax of 1,000 shillings only, which is used to cater for things like security, electricity bills and general cleaning.
Local government has been faulted for not providing necessary aid to the market. The leadership at Najembe proposed that public markets management should be left to them.
We don't advise government to take up management of public markets because we are capable enough to manage its affairs. Accountability is easier with our own policies, so I don't think local government is up for the task.
So, government will have to talk obuvunanyizibwa sikakasa nti yinza okola ebintu ebyo byonna.
But if we manage the market ourselves, budgeting and planning becomes easy.
On average, the hawkers at Najembe Market, the youth and the elderly, earn 1/10 of their sales, a sum that can barely cater to all their livelihood needs.
We are trying to forge our way forward. In fact, we ought not to pay taxes to local government because we hardly benefit from it.
We thought a tax of 2,000 shillings per vendor would do, but after examining their earnings and finding them low, we brought it down to 1,000 shillings.
Local government's aid does not reflect to the people's livelihoods. We could have paid the local government tax because it is justified, but our earnings are really low.
The hawkers and traders at Najembe Market suggest that, yes, this would be a good idea to have annual licenses. However, local government service delivery still remains a challenge and to a greater extent leaves them out without helping them, even when it comes to a year of accountability. So they prefer having themselves manage their own taxes. Reporting for UBC News, Madulo Mark Arnold in Buyikwa District.
From the international scene, the United Nations sounded the alarm Wednesday over the escalating humanitarian crisis in the province of Cabo Delgado in Mozambique, where thousands of people have been displaced from their homes amid growing violence and increasing abuse.
The province of Cabo Delgado in northern Mozambique has been under ongoing violent attacks allegedly by a terrorist group. According to the United Nations, the attacks have intensified substantially in recent weeks. The United Nations further asserts that the escalating crisis has now left many communities entirely dependent on humanitarian assistance, further describing the situation as desperate.
The situation in Cabo Delgado is dire. It is a humanitarian and protection crisis where human rights abuses on civilians occur every day. The international community cannot let this situation continue like that.
This assessment comes on the back of a recent visit to to Cabo Delgado by the United Nations regional directors. The visit was to assess the plight and needs of displaced populations as well as of host communities in that province.
We saw a huge amount of displaced women, children and men in a very dire situation. We saw children, women and men sharing one house, 56 people. They had been hosted by a host community. The situation of food security and undernutrition has clearly deteriorated when we see the numbers.
The UN regional directors say more than $36 million is required to respond to this crisis.
We are at this very important moment during this crisis very committed to contribute to address the crisis. During our visit, we could witness that this crisis is really unfolding on three different fronts. This is together a humanitarian crisis, this is a security crisis, and this is also a development crisis, which requires urgent action and investment in all these three fronts concomitantly.
We also saw some truly humbling and inspiring demonstrations of solidarity, hospitality, generosity, and resilience. And I think that's what has given us really, I think we took away really a very strong sense that we need to be doing more, and this needs to be an issue that requires global attention.
The UN agencies also raised concerns over the continuing impact of the coronavirus pandemic in that area.
China has extended felicitation to U.S. President Joe Biden on his inauguration. Beijing on Thursday reiterated Biden's call for unity in his inaugural speech, saying it was needed to restore bilateral ties and tackle global challenges.
China's foreign ministry has expressed congratulations to the inauguration of President Biden. Spokesperson Hua Chunying said after traveling an extraordinary period, China and the U.S. peoples deserve to embrace a better future.
Indeed, we had a hard time. I think people in both countries deserve a brighter future after such difficulties. I noticed that the American media said this is a new day in the history of the United States. We also wish President Biden success in governing the country. So many times in his inaugural speech, President Biden stressed unity. I think this is also what China-U.S. relations need now.
Well, that's all we had for you today at 10 p.m. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Sharon Chumcha with Mugalu Mohammed on sign language. Have a lovely night, and we'll leave you with the weather forecast.
Yes, a very good evening. My name is Mbale, and I thank you very much for joining us into tonight's weather report. Now, today morning we started off with mostly misty and foggy conditions here over central Equatorial Basin, but most of that cleared as the day went on. Now, we do still have some dry, hazy conditions coming in from the dry winds that are from the northern half of our continent. Those are blowing towards our country, and that is responsible for the dry conditions that we have mostly for northern Uganda as well as the eastern part of our country. At the same time, we are seeing effects of Cyclone Eloise, which has already made landfall across coastal Mozambique, and because of that we're seeing that much of the moist winds that would be diverting towards our country are now going towards this area, and that also reduces wet conditions across our country. Tomorrow morning we start off with mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, and that will be across much of Uganda. Nevertheless, we're expecting those light rains again across central Equatorial Basin as well as the western part of the Equatorial Basin. Now later in the afternoon we see more rains to the western part of the country, moving across the central as well as the Equatorial Basin. Otherwise the rest of the country will remain with sunny intervals. At daytime highs, temperatures will be more like we had today. We have a maximum of 27 for Kampala, and northern Uganda you will be at 29, quite warm weather. We're also forecasting a maximum of 23 for Kabale Helens. Some of the cities that we have for you, we're forecasting sunny intervals across Mombasa at 34 degrees, very warm weather over there. We're also forecasting rainy conditions for Paris at 6 degrees, and Moscow will be at 2, very cold weather as well over that place. We're also likely to have cloudy conditions for London. With that, we wrap up tonight's weather report. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Mbale, wishing you a blessed weekend.
Welcome to English in a Minute. From home. A loop is a circular shape formed when something thin crosses over itself.
Hey Anna, are you going to Reggie's social distanced birthday party? I can't remember what time to be there.
I am. I think the invitation said 6. Or maybe it said to keep 6 feet apart. I think I'll call him.
Okay, cool. Keep me in the loop.
To keep someone in the loop means to keep them informed of something that is happening. Think of the loop as a circle. If you are inside of it, you know what's going on. If you're not, you don't. And that's English in a Minute. Welcome to English in a Minute. Conjunctions are small words that join sentences. Words like if, and but. Wait, am I on Everyday Grammar by mistake?
Jonathan, don't forget, go online this Saturday night to watch RoboCop with me and my friends.
I love robot movies from the 1980s. I'll be there. No ifs, ands, or buts.
The phrase, no ifs, ands, or buts, is a way of expressing certainty. If you take away all the ifs, ands, and buts, you take away all other options, conditions, and excuses. And that's English in a Minute. Welcome to English in a Minute. From home. The world is very big. Or is it?
Something so strange happened to me. A woman moved in right across the hall from me.
Doesn't seem too strange. It's an apartment building.
No, we went to college together years ago in China.
Okay, that is strange. It's a small world, Anna.
Right? Small world.
The phrase, it's a small world, is used to express surprise at how connected people are. You can say this when you run into someone you knew a long time ago in a completely unexpected place. And that's English in a Minute.
Most people never notice that all them want and need.
This special day, a legend comes on your national TV. When you think of legends, you can't figure out DJ Dan Starboy, the reggae and dancehall ambassador.
On the yard, on the yard. Come with it. I love you, woman, I love you. Yeah, you have your own style. I got to love you, you know me love you. Yeah.
Get certified of 99 greatest hits on UBC TV every Friday, 11 p.m.
Rasta no mean to fight, Rasta meaning to love the people. Rasta no mean to fight every time. One love you got to spread it on the ghetto. Ghetto you stop yourself.
This is Magic FM 100.
Even the government agrees. DJ Dan Starboy is a dangerous DJ.
It's always feel like Babylon is watching me. All when it legalized, dreadlock and smoking pipe in peace. See me don't know when you thinking we live a life at ease. Can't even walk the street without getting watched by police. In the belly of the beast, anti-dread fly we no cease. Why free? Anti-dread live Italy.
So make we free it up, no make we burn it till they done. A long time take up me like tell them don't hide, don't run. Make we free it up, no make it grow up to the sun. A long time take a tax and legalize it. Is it true that I'm gonna talk about Colorado? Be said that that them babies young and 38. Put on them feet up in a plate and go. No man the grill where the real ganja go. Too much restriction, too much regulation. Jaja put it from creation. Adi in the nation.
It always feel like Babylon is watching me. All when it legalized, dreadlock and smoking pipe in peace. See me, I don't know where you thinking we live a life of ease. Can't even walk the street without getting watched by police. In the belly of the beast, anti-dread fly we no cease. Why pre? Anti-dread live Italy.
So make we breathe up, don't make we burn it till it done. All I'm trying to take up me, I tell them don't hide, don't run. Make we breathe up, don't make it grow up to the sun. All I'm trying to get to legalize it. All I'm trying to stand on the truth. So make we